for the June 30th, 2026 meeting of the Ithaca City School District Board of Education. Welcome, everybody. First item on the agenda is a special presentation honoring Ithaca City School District retirees. And we have a resolution. Would there be anyone?
I move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution honoring the retirees of the Ithaca City School District.
We have the resolution has been moved. The resolution has been seconded. Probably we want to read it into the record before or after voting on it?
Oh, before.
Before voting on it. Okay. So usually Dr. Krantwise is often the reader of resolutions. Would there be anyone else who would care to read this resolution?
I can read it.
Ms. Royal. Thank you.
Ms.
Ms. Did I say that wrong?
I'm sorry, Slappy's there. So this is a great way to start a meeting. So, resolution honoring retirees of the Ithaca City School District. Whereas the Ithaca City School District is deeply grateful for the dedication, professionalism, and service of its employees, whose work supports the education, growth, well-being, and success of students throughout our school community. And whereas the employees retiring from the Ithaca City School District have devoted their time, talents, and energy to serving students, families, colleagues, and the broader Ithaca community. And whereas through their years of service, these retirees have contributed to the mission of the district by fostering learning, supporting school operations, building relationships, and helping create welcoming and inclusive educational environments. And whereas their collective efforts have strengthened the Ithaca City School District and left a lasting impact on generations of students and families. And whereas the Board of Education wishes to recognize and honor the following retirees for their dedicated service to the Ithaca City School District. Arbor, Amy Becker, Gerald Beitzterveld, Elizabeth Bowen, Cynthia Dew, Michelle Fuller, Marnie Hastings, Kathleen Holzbach, Cynthia Kellogg, Rebecca Kenyon, Eric Lau, Patricia McBean, Lynn McCarran, Lorraine McNair, David Nickel, Robert Novick, Therese Nunez, Mari Ortiz, Nora Shapiro, Carl Slack, Jill Vena, Mark Verde, and Sharon Warren. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Ithaca City School District hereby expresses its sincere appreciation and gratitude to these retirees for their commitment, service, and contributions to the district. And be it further resolved that the board extends its best wishes to each retiree for a fulfilling, healthy, and joyful retirement. And be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the official minutes of the Board of Education as a lasting record of the district's appreciation.
Beautifully read. So the motion.
All in favor.
Well, I think we have the discussion to minute.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
just noting that it was beautifully read, and we now have moved the motion, seconded. It's been read into the record, and now we have discussion and debate. Yes.
So, especially in this resolution, it talks about their impact in the broader Ithaca community. And I'd like to thank you all, because some of you, the names I've seen, some names here in the broader Ithaca community, and I've seen you involved, and definitely the impact you have made and will continue to make from generations to come. So thank you very much for your years of service.
Another debate, comments? Okay, call the question. All those in favor? That is unanimous. So that passes. And Thank you. So now the board will move to item 3, which is executive session. Would anyone care to read the?
I move that the board enter into executive session pursuant to New York Public Officers Law 1051A and E to discuss matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, and removal of particular persons, including employment histories and tenure eligibility of specific employees, collective bargaining negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law.
So moved, seconded by Mr. Friend. Anybody? All those in favor? So we will now enter executive session. I'm not going to speculate how long we'll be there. Maybe an hour, 30 minutes. 30 minutes?
I'm optimistic. That was, I said that out loud.
And we return. We are returning from executive session. Thank you for your patience. Moving into item 4 of our meeting, and first up is item 4.1, which is approval or modification of a tentative agenda. I believe we are going to go with the first option listed in the agenda, meaning the recommended action is a motion that the board amend the personnel report, page 10, to include an increase of 4% for managerial and confidential staff for the 2026-2027 school year, effective July 1st, 2026. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
All right, we all agree on that language? That's the language we discussed?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do we move that, or, yeah, so I'm moving, would anyone care to move that language I just read?
You mean just reread it?
Move that the board amend the personnel report, page 10, to include an increase of 4% for managerial and confidential staff in the 2026-2027 school year, effective July 1st, 2026.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Call the question. All those in favor? That passes unanimously. We move on to item 5, which is public. Item 5, which is receiving and hearing a delegation. So, first up is a public comment period. I understand we have 3 individuals.
Should be your right.
Right hand. Okay. Yep. We have 3 individuals who have signed up to speak. I think it's a good practice for us as a board to remind speakers of the policy regarding speaking before the board. So each speaker will be permitted to speak for 3 minutes. Speakers may comment on any matter related to district business. The board cannot and will not permit public discussions involving individual district personnel or students. Persons wishing to discuss matters involving individual district personnel or students should present their comments and or concerns to teachers, the building administrator, or superintendent during regular business hours. All speakers are to conduct themselves in a civil manner. Obscene language, libelous statements, threats of violence, statements advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice will not be tolerated. So with that said, the first speaker is Ann Johnson, please.
Thank you. Okay, I just wanted to come back. The last time I was here, I commented on how the board has not fully implemented the cell phone ban. And I felt like the board deflected my comment by speaking about how criminalizing addiction would be regressive. And I don't think anyone who really listened to my comment thought that that's what I was talking about. So I just wanted to focus the conversation back on the topic. The reason I mentioned addiction is because that is exactly the language that was used in the recent court settlement with social media companies out in California. I mentioned it because the science and the research shows that video games and social media apps stimulate the same dopamine reward circuits in the brain that addiction does. So I don't think that saying the word addiction was hyperbole. I think the cell phone ban should be super straightforward and simple to implement. Another thing I wanted to talk about, a slightly bigger issue, is how we use tech in the classroom and in general, and using it in a responsible way. My son often comes home from school telling me about the video games that he plays on his Chromebook, Last year in third grade, he even Googled naked girl pics on his Chromebook. Luckily, his teacher was able to shut that down pretty quick, so I don't know or think he saw much. So I'd like for the board and the community really to have a more open and honest conversation about what screens are doing and really mostly not doing for our kids' education. I'm in my kids' school 2 days a week. I see this in my own children. They don't have the mental patience and the resilience to calmly and creatively think through problems or write a paragraph. If I'm honest, I even see this in myself, in my own emotional reactivity and lack of mental patience for figuring things out. So I think we should have a conversation with how screens are used in the classroom. Let's see, I wanted to mention the Los Angeles City School District, the second largest district in the country, has just enacted new screen time policy. They've set a boundary that screens will not be used in the classroom at all for kids under second grade. And then after second grade, the allotted amount of screen time sort of increases as the age goes up. That's in school time and homework time. They've acknowledged that screens may not be the best tool for learning. Learning has to be something that's embodied. I mentioned the Surgeon General's warning about social media. The American Academy of Pediatrics has new guidelines for screen time that came out in January. Just seems like not a lot of this is on y'all's radar, so I'd like it to be more of a conversation. I want my kids to really be able to use tech as a tool, for the powerful tool that it is, but it seems like they're being more controlled by it and they don't really have a lot of control over how they use it. I think we need to start to figure that out a little bit. Yeah, is that 3 minutes? Probably up, right? No? 5 seconds. Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth Bryan.
I'm Melissa Riley. I'm the mother of 2 ICSD students and a graduate from here as well. I wanted to tell you about a proud moment I had as a parent. We gave my 12-year-old an old iPhone to play music on with apps locked with parental control software. But a few weeks ago, he guessed the password and he suddenly had access to all the games on the App Store. 2 things made me proud. After a few days of very suspicious behavior, he told me what had happened. And then he asked me to take the device away from him because he knew it wasn't healthy for him. I believe he knew how to ask me what to do because of what I might unfortunately say was his most influential 6th grade teacher, his Chromebook. Despite his respect for his wonderful English teacher and his love for math, he sometimes forgot to turn in his English homework and he needed help getting started on his homework sometimes. But he never forgot his wireless mouse to bring to school, which he only uses to play games. He never once forgot to check the shared Google documents that he has with his friends where that they every single day traded new links for how to get around the game blockers. And he never complained about arriving to school early because the minute the school's internet settings became in effect, and in contrast to our home ones, he could start gaming. So every single day for the entire year, he played video games at school, but the trouble came home. Every day we had to remember to close the browser tabs that he opened with browser games when he came home from school, because if we didn't, he could play them day or night, regardless of whether we had internet access at home. This was a huge source of daily friction. Every day, it's the only unlocked device that we have in our house, and we can't change the password. Worse, on 5 separate nights during this year, he stayed up all night playing browser games when we forgot to close his open tabs. Not stayed up late, all night, no sleep. In the morning, he was apologetic, exhausted, and angry. I just can't seem to make my hands stop, is what he told me. Is it true? We spent time wondering if we were just inadequate parents, lots of time. But when I reflect on what he told me, that he just couldn't control himself, I see myself in that. I see the way my fingers begin to type youtube.com without my intention being consciously present. I see the way my hands reach for a cell phone when I am in an elevator for 2 seconds by myself. In my day job, I'm a research neuroscientist at Cornell. We know the brain isn't finished developing until 25. The last functions to develop are the executive ones: emotional regulation, long-term planning, impulse control, the skills that allow you to say, this game is so fun, but I really value my education and I'm going to start my work. We've been asking students with their immature brains to moderate their use of addictive technology that most adults still struggle with. We've collectively acknowledged this with the cell phone ban, of course. But for many students, and in particular the youngest boys, video games, the most addictive aspect of technology for them, is at their fingertips every single day in their Chromebooks. There is a solution blocking the Chromebooks from all websites except those required for schoolwork. This could be a bit of a tech headache, but it would turn the Chromebook from a district supplied gaming machine into a tool. I have about 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Using GoGuardian's teacher override function, teachers could still allow classes to visit any website they deemed appropriate during their class. No parent wants to manage their child's unhealthy use of addictive technology provided by the district, just like no parent wants to rely on their preteen's judgment alone to make good choices at lunch. And I think a better solution is within reach. Thank you.
Thank you. Whoa.
Okay, hi, everybody. I'm Sandra Wold. I've worked in the district about 20 years. I've been in education about 30 years. I have a master's in science education, and 2 of my children went through the school district. And I'm here today to tell you about a problem that I've noticed. There's been 2 hazing incidents I've reported, and I just haven't gotten any response from the board in a way that makes me wonder if you all understand that hazing is a national epidemic, that there are trends happening among football teams that are horrific and sadistic. When these trends happen to one of the teammates, they can get PTSD, and within a year, there are documented cases of suicide. Excuse me for being emotional. I care so much about these students, and I don't see how I could be ignored for the past month, but all of my emails are trying to share with you this information that over 1.5 million students a year have experienced hazing, according to the University of Maine and many hazing experts who've done surveys. I mentioned the hazing epidemic and trends that's documented by ESPN 2016. They have done a comparison from 2003 to 2016 that hazing is happening at the high schools, and it's sexual. It's not drinking. It's not drugs. It's sexual, and it's sexual assault. And I noticed in the safety plan that there are 3 omissions of sexual assault. I compared that to Dryden. Dryden's safety plan mentions sexual assault and rape. And the other thing that I'm noticing is that restorative justice is enabling this. And I have a whole study, 12-page study with citations and with references to document everything that I've seen. But basically, in a nutshell, and I hope I'll get a second and a motion to speak longer, is that because the school district will not suspend, will not expel, and will not make law enforcement referrals, that is giving a green light to these, it's only a few perpetrators, to do what they did. Now, when I walked into the situation in 2026, I walked into a huddle of white students.
Sorry.
And there was a
No,
black
sorry,
victim.
you are
don't want me to talk about the black
disclosing-
student.
You are
who was
disclosing
almost-
information
no,
that
I'm
is
not.
identifiable,
This is
and
a
it's about
problem,
our
and
students.
people need to know.
You're disclosing information
No, I'm not.
about students.
This is
that
there's
can
no
be
name. I'm not
identifiable.
saying any name.
But you're not saying any names, but you've also stated that there has been no response. You
No,
have
I didn't say it that way. There's been no
you have-
suspension.
No
no law
you said that
enforcement
you have been
referral. Well, let me
contacting the
correct.
board for some time, so we need to end
Can
the
I have a
discussion.
second to motion this?
There's no motion
be
coming
more?
from the public.
Okay, so they've silenced you all. Yeah, and
No
there
one
are
silenced
victims.
anyone.
There
Thank
are
you very
victims.
much. We have seen your,
And I hope that the victims
email
come
and-
forward and let you know.
and all of your emails have gone to the relevant parties.
So there was board response. I just think, state for the record that, when the district receives written complaints about matters, the district, or I should say, the board will not discuss those matters in public while they are being looked into.
So what's the hazing plan? Do you guys have a plan?
Where public comment is over, other responses from the
Plan.
board to, beyond what's been said.
I'd like to,
To all three speakers.
yeah, I'd like to quickly speak to Anne and Melissa. Hi, Melissa. We went to high school, so I just want to say, Anne, thank you for speaking. I think that for what it's worth, like your stuff around cell phones has been heard. I think that there is I know I taught like while I don't believe it made it onto the agenda for this meeting, I think that soon in the new year, I anticipate that like we will be taking up a motion to strengthen our implementation of the cell phone ban in a way that, for what it's worth, your language around fiction resonated with me because I feel like when we when we have an addictive device that stays with students all day, it is very hard, if not impossible, to avoid to hold back. So just know that your comments resonated with me. And with Los Angeles also, I know a lot of forward progress in my perspective with the screen time policy was also really helpful, initiated by PTAs. And so I know that that's work that at least like myself and I imagine some of my board colleagues are interested in. And I hope that PTA and PTA Council also expresses interest. And then Lisa, I just wanted to say thank you for like some very concrete like policy suggestions as well as budgetary suggestions, right, around like how technology programs could be used or not used. And I imagine all of these conversations come together, right? There's a common thread with Chromebooks, cell phones, screens generally. Personally, I think it's an overdue conversation, and I thank you both for raising
Yes, Sandra, I mean, to Gary's point, if there's an ongoing investigation, like we can't talk about it publicly, we just can't.
It should be over by now. And what about the 2023 one?
I know,
Yeah,
we're just letting.
Public comment is over.
Yeah, we can't speak.
I'm not
This is
commenting.
board response.
No, but you're not responding. I wanted to speak speaking and I just, I hear what you're saying. I mean, when I was a kid, I played baseball and I got bullied a lot. And I was on a team, I was the youngest. I was like, I was starting over kids that were 2 years older than me. And they kicked the shit out of me because they didn't like that.
I'm talking about.
No, I didn't stop. Let me hear.
Different.
Respectfully, Dr. Boyle, I just want to make sure, like, just to be clear, like because the public comment section is over, it is just time for the board members to speak.
I understand
It's
that.
not-
We're talking
it's
about
not-
lives
It's not
here.
permissible to speak.
Suicide, I'm talking about
No,
suicide.
it's not permissible.
And
to
a
speak.
police-
I was suicidal. I was gonna share something very vulnerable with you
I'm
and
sorry,
to try to
but
like connect with you.
You're
And it's like,
minimizing what I'm trying to
I'm not gonna cut you off. I don't think we can continue,
That's
so I'm gonna
yeah.
suggest we leave it and move on to the next item on the
No,
agenda.
hold on. I want to say something about the cell
Okay,
phones.
I'm sorry.
So,
Sorry.
I'm really grateful that you guys came out and spoke and that you guys, offered this evidence and all this data because there's so much out right now. I mean, it's indisputable the harm that cell phones are causing kids. And I'm addicted to my cell phone and I'm very conscious of it. I try to be very mindful of it. If it's in my pocket and it vibrates, I'm checking it. And if I'm with my kids, like I can't, like I have to put it in a separate room and turn it off. Because like that's how bad it is. And I'm an adult and I recognize how bad it is. And my brain's not still developing, right? And anecdotally, I mean, I got rid of electronics, not this Christmas, but the Christmas before, and my 2 youngest are 2 years apart. They were just fighting all the time. They were irritable and they just couldn't, they didn't have any patience. And it was crazy because within 3 days, it was like night and day. Like my kids, they totally transformed. And they started getting along better, started doing more arts and crafts in the house, and started connecting more as a family. So like I see the difference, like what happens when we actually remove these things. And yeah, there will be a resolution that hopefully, when the next board convenes, we'll come forward and, it's an ongoing conversation and, this conversation, it's new information to me, like about the gaming, like that's really concerning. That's something I wasn't even aware of. And that's one of those things that I don't think teachers are aware of or administrators are aware of because it's like the kids don't want them to be aware of it, right? Like you want to enjoy your game time. So it's important that, parents and people in the community come forward and share these things with us because it helps us be more informed when we make decisions. So I'm grateful for you guys coming out. So thank you.
I agree. I can't stand my kid's Chromebook. The only thing that I will say though is administrators and teachers are very aware of it. And I do want to give them some credit that it is like the reason that your child, like my child, is constantly sharing new links on how to get to games is because they are constantly, I mean, I can't imagine what the IT department is like doing all day if they're not just like changing all of those links and codes and whatever it is that they do, because they'll go to like their next class and they'll lose that one and try to figure it out again. So we have some very smart, technologically savvy kids, much more so than a lot of us. And so I agree that it needs to be something more substantial because, teachers or administrators shouldn't be spending their time having to combat that all day. And it's a challenge for everyone. I hate them. Out the window.
But what do you really think?
I hate them.
Then we will move on to item 6, the consent agenda. So let me just say the consent agenda comes from consensus. So these are typically a lot of pro forma items, like moving funds from one account to another to reconcile accounts and so on. A lot of these kind of pro forma matters get rolled into one big resolution, and that's what we have here. So this is a resolution that will look at consideration of accounts, that will look at personnel report, look at student report, and look at minutes approving all of the above. The consideration of accounts has a lot of items, like 20, 30 items here. I would just point out for sort of people that if there are questions, I suspect the questions will fall on the last 3 or 4 items, which is some work being done to Cayuga Heights Elementary in response to the flood, some electrical upgrades at Boynton and DeWitt that will be one of the last items occurring in the 2019 capital campaign, a resolution to award some healthcare services for our nursing staff, and architectural services to our district engineering firm. So we have representatives from the relevant parties involved in those. If there are board members who have questions about those things. If not, we can go ahead and, let's just start by moving the resolution, and then we can open it up to questions or comments. So would anyone like to move the resolution?
I move to approve all consent agenda items listed in consent agenda, students' minutes of previous meetings as presented with the personnel report as amended.
So moved.
I second.
Seconded. Karen, thank you. So discussion.
I just had
Let me go.
I just had a few questions. For the 7.18 and 7.19, I noticed that for one of them there were like alternative bits, and then for some of them there were no alternative bits. And I wanted to get more information about that for my own curiosity.
Yep. Thanks. So I'm Travis Randall with Campus Construction Management Group, and thanks for the question. So yeah, the Cayuga Heights 7.18, the Cayuga Heights Elementary School abatement work. We did receive multiple quotes for that non-public bid. We reached out in an effort to expedite that work. It's asbestos abatement in nature. It's imperative that we complete that work this summer. All the rest of the work that we're going to do is contingent upon this getting done. It has to be the first step. We cannot do it once school starts. So in order to expedite that work, public bid requires a bid period in time that wasn't going to allow us to do that this summer. So we took, I received a couple bids, reached out to a lot of contractors. Very few had even availability. Did receive a few bids, and had a discussion with the contractor, make sure that they were understanding of the scope and they had the bid correct. We vetted it. And that's why you're seeing 7.18 recommendation to award abatement scope. And then 7.19 is was bid publicly, just a standard project, as Garrick said. It's part of the 2019 referendum campaign, one of the kind of last projects. And we bid that publicly, just kind of the standard process that we've done every time. And that's why you see the bid breakdown with all the multiple bids that we received and all that. So is that kind of answer?
Totally answers. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions?
Not question, but comment,
Comments.
Garrett, you said most of the resolutions here are package of the consent agreement, which were also discussed at our June 16th Facilities and Finance Committee, where our finance team, our Director of Finance and his team comes in and goes through every single resolution. So now that it moved from that committee to the board, it gets packaged into the consent agenda.
Thank you for reminding us that was right. So these all have been reviewed. Important point.
I have one question. I think it's a question for you, Dr. Brown. In 8.1, like the personnel report, I saw a educational coaches with an hourly rate, and I wasn't sure what that was.
Yeah, we have, they tended to be retirees, correct me if I'm wrong, they tended to be retirees that we have brought in to work with our, most times inexperienced or newer teachers. So it's been I don't want to say a third party, but an extra set of eyes that allow for folks to get some additional support. So those additional coaches are those folks who come in and work with folks. Yeah.
Sort of like contracted.
Contracted service, yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you for that question.
Nothing else? I'm gonna call the question. All those in favor? Okay, that passes unanimously. And that lets us zoom through from item 6 all the way through to complete item 10. And we now move on to, if I'm counting correctly here, yes, the superintendent report. Dr. Brown.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, Dr. Blaylock. And it's been a glorious couple of weeks here as we've had moving up ceremonies, middle school graduations, and graduation ceremonies. And this beautiful tan I'm sporting is because we had one ceremony at Ithaca High School, and it was in the full sun for a few folks on the stage. And thank you for joining us for the 2 hours in the full sun. Ms. Yearwood, thank you, and Ms. Cardona, thank you. Just for folks up to, I think that was the first time ever that ceremony has been held at the high school on that field for everyone. And I know that we have many board members who've been listening to conversations over the last few years about what's best. And just a shout out to not only the folks at the high school, but all the folks who organized these moving up ceremonies. They were happening at the hottest points of the year in smaller gyms with no air conditioning, and everyone's still dressed up. And so I just want to thank folks for creating such a beautiful atmosphere, including the graduation ceremonies. And thank you, Ms. Yearwood, for going to LACS's at Ithaca College as well. We went back to Ithaca College for the LACS graduation ceremony, which was outstanding. So just want to shout out folks for doing that. And thank you all for participating. As a graduate reminded me on my walk back, someone's always watching. So this was a class that graduated that I met when they were preschoolers. And I remember going into a South Phillip elementary preschool class, and what words of wisdom do you have, Dr. Brown? This was 12, 14 years ago. I said, just know that someone's always watching, no matter where you are. And this baby reminded me of it at graduation. And so I say that because they saw you show up and they've seen the conversations to make sure those things happen. And then a special shout out to a special educator, and thank you for your support in my recommendation of Katie Tedesco, who was moving into an associate principal role. And Katie is a name that many folks in this community knows because she's been an excellent teacher first. And I've said the best administrators are great teachers first, and then you can become an administrator. And what she's done is she's taking on multiple administrative roles for us. So she's transitioning to be the associate principal at Ithaca High School, which will be a new experience and one that's going to further build out her portfolio in service of young people. So thank you for stepping up. Thank you for your service to the organization. And we look forward to working with you really well. And that's all I have for this evening, for this last meeting of the academic school year, which I think has been one of the best yet from my perspective. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I would just add, was at graduation with Karen, and this board does not organize graduation. We were in business of budgets and education policy. We don't do event planning or catering. But having said that, comments, public feedback on graduation was numerous in the prior 2 years to this year. A lot of comments, a lot of asks of the high school administration, and and that's not what we do. But I heard a lot of folks say that what was being asked was mainly one ceremony where everyone got recognized. A lot of people said that was logistically impossible, yet it happened. And I just want to acknowledge that it was Karen Arnold, the principal at the high school, who figured out how to do it. She did a spectacular job. in her first year as principal really well. It was a moving ceremony, great speakers, and I just want to acknowledge her. So, thank you. Yeah. All right. So that allows us to move on to item 12, school district business. We only have one business item before us, which is a resolution authorizing a board member to attend the NAPSE annual conference. Would anyone like to move resolution?
I'll move.
Oh,
Motion to approve the resolution authorizing the attendance and associated expenditures for board member Karen Yearwood to attend the National Alliance of Black School Educators, NAPSE 54th Annual International Conference in Orlando, Florida, on December 2nd to the 6th, 2026.
Second.
any discussion on that?
Yeah, I just have some questions. I'd love to know more about, I guess historically, like, is this a conference that folks have gone to, and like why you're hoping to attend?
Well, historically, I don't know if folks have gone to, our superintendent has attended the conference. I know that this conference has been earmarked to me from a NISBA staff member that suggested, oh, why not attend this? Because, and in our policy, and how it came about is because our district clerk sent information around to the whole board saying, here are the conferences for the next 18 months, let's say. And I said, oh, you forgot one that's on there, right? And the conferences, according to policy 2521, school board conferences, conventions, and workshops, it's encouraged that board members attend conferences and workshops. And in the list of conferences and workshops, it doesn't state there, and in our policy, it doesn't state that it has to be local. It could be within New York State, it could be within the region, and it could be national. We have been recognized over the years as a district that had national awards, even this past year, Merit Scholar Award, Fine Arts and Award and all. So why not go to a national conference that through NISBA with it, which is New York State School Board Association, and the National School Board Association, which is NISBA and SBA, have also stated, as well as the New York State Caucus of Black School Board Members. And it's an opportunity definitely to hear from educators, attend workshops, and connect with what is being done nationally.
I can ask just to be mine, because yeah, the historically that you didn't know. The National Alliance of Black School Educators is an international organization. We does a lot of work at the federal level, state and local. There are many national and local affiliates. Just some contact organization. It's a huge one and it's important. They do a lot of great work. And humbly, and it's been an honor. I've been invited to be the keynote speaker on 3 different occasions, and I'm the only one who's done it multiple times. And the first time, it was probably a decade ago, we had board members join me there, and they asked me to be a part of the presentation. And the other 2 times I've been a speaker, most recently, I think it was last year, we have not had a difficult presence outside of me, and it has been noted. So as the premier organization in support of the young people, and particularly Black students, and they're very careful how they word it, particularly Black students, and they can show their track record of the last 50 years of doing things to advocate and be successfully advocating. For Ithaca not be represented other than the superintendent speaking has been noted. And I am happy to see that someone has a will, is wishing to join me again, because I will never miss it, because that's
Oh, so you are going this year?
Oh, I will.
Okay.
They were, my aunts and mothers would make sure I was there, but I missed it.
For what it's worth, I plan on voting in support of you attending. Most of my other questions are maybe more like procedural oriented, maybe just like with Emily's email around like conferences and this one. I'm just, when I saw like Orlando, first I thought, man, my wife's gonna be so upset that I don't go to Orlando because she always wants me to try to go to Disney World and my favorite place in the entire world. But I also just found myself wondering like what overall, when it comes to board member development, do we have like the funding in place to ensure that like we're going to be able to I guess like send as many folks as possible to as many opportunities.
Also part of the budget development process, every department at the beginning of the budget development process in December, January, gets a spreadsheet from the business office to plan out their budget for their department. And historically, Trisha and I, and this year just I have worked together to budget out all of the memberships that the board goes to, and then or all of the memberships that the board is a part of, and also we map out the most commonly attended conferences. And we assume there's approximately a third of the board is going to go to that, and we budget for that, which includes. So there's a robust portion of the Board of Ed budget that is earmarked for conferences.
Cool.
And just note, when I saw Florida, I wasn't keen on going to Florida. Because I made sure I have not been to Florida. The last time my family was considering going to Florida was when Trayvon Martin was murdered. And we decided not to go to Florida. So it's just because of this conference that I'm willing to go to Florida.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, well, I hope, I mean, I guess then the last thing I would say is I hope, like, going into the next year, I'd love for us to think about as a board, so like how to then strategically go to conferences, like either alone or together to like make the most out of it. Because I know, like, I just wanted to highlight the experience of like going with Emily and then having you there remotely, Karen, for NISBA, which is like a really, really strong one. So seeing this made me go, oh, I'm excited for us to have not just a conversation about like an individual conference, but also like a more, I guess like like strategically, like how will we do this over the year?
Right, and we have done that, and I appreciate Emily sending out this list and the link early, because Erin and I attended NISBA's annual conference 2 years ago. And prior to that, Moira Lang, when she was on the board, we attended. So we do try to connect with each other to attend these conferences.
That's all I got.
Any further? I would just add to that before we call the vote that, you know, the real value here that's not being budgeted for, Dom, maybe we can fix this next year, is your time. I mean, for you to give a full week of your time with your work and your family and the things that you do, you know, you have things to do. And as a volunteer, to give up a week of your time and travel, you know, 24/7 on behalf of the school district is commendable. And it's, again, you know, something that's just extraordinary that you do that on a volunteer basis. So thank you. And with that, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Passes unanimous. Okay, last item for adjournment is other business, upcoming dates of importance. This board, we stop operating tonight, or we continue until the reorg? We continue, okay. We do not, this board will continue to operate until July 17th, which is, well, getting there. We have a new board coming in, and the new board, I believe, will commence on the 17th of July when we have what's known as a reorganization meeting. So at that time, we'll have 2 new board members joining us. It'll be at 9 a.m. here, and there will be a discussion about who will be board officers and district officers, and there'll be administration of oaths and that kind of thing. So mark your calendars, 9 a.m. on.
Do that, Dan. I'm gonna send you the text at 8:59. Turn the lights on.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. So is there any other discussion items?
Well, just that I'm sending around the program booklet from LACS graduation, and it was really a beautiful graduation of about 22, 25 students, and very personalized. I commended Keith Harrington, first year principal at LACS, and also for Ithaca High School, Karen Arnold, first year principal there. They both did an exceptional job with their respective teams. And we're losing 2 of our, not losing, but we'll be gaining. So 2 of our board reps are moving on, they graduated. And it was a pleasure to see those 2 board reps, Emily and Julian at LACS. And I'd also like to thank Madeline Cardona for serving on the board this past year. She's not here with us today. She has been very instrumental on this board, as well as just Dr. Sean Eversley Bradwell for his 17 years of service to this community.
He's been on for a minute. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? No. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I know.